All right, cool. Let's go. Welcome. Sorry, I was a little bit later than usual, getting set up and everything. So just wanted to make sure everything is running reasonably well. But welcome. Thanks for being here. I'll just keep adjusting my levels and such. Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. As you can see from the title, today's sort of main topic that I'll get to eventually is a topic that I'm worried is a little bit basic, but at the same time, I have been reflecting a bit more on the prominence of Nightmare Before Christmas, specifically with just one-to-one association with the Halloween season overall, and in addition to that association, Halloween just continue. It's strange, but I almost feel like the popularity continues to increase over time. Sorry, I'm gonna mess with the camera a little bit too. I don't know why I'm getting that impression exactly. Especially like as an adult, you would kind of think that it would seem to get less popular because you're not as a lot of us as adults are not as directly involved in Halloween happenings as we were when we were kids. But it's been the opposite impression. Maybe the accurate change is just that a lot of adults, a lot of people specifically around my age, have continued to be really into Halloween, and they take it very seriously, and they really get excited about the trappings of the season and the holiday, which is not a bad thing at all. Obviously, I don't know. I find it surprising, especially as someone who never really liked Halloween all that much. I just haven't. I was not like a costume kind of kid, and the trick or treating was fine, you know, with siblings or friends, but it wasn't something that I was like crazy looking forward to throughout the year. And then the school stuff, it was like, well, you're kind of expected to wear, you know, a costume if they're doing parties. Like, no, I would rather not. I would rather not. And check this out. Look at this fun little connection to our topic today. There's a theatrical re-release of Nightmare Before Christmas. And I mean, for anything like that, you can never expect big numbers, obviously, compared to an initial release. But yeah, but still, $4 million, more than $4 million, just to show this movie again. I mean, what do you think it cost? Do you think there was any cost associated? I doubt it was film projections that they were showing, so it would just be, you know, the digital file. If anything, the theaters probably had to pay, right? Have to pay for the rights to actually stream it. I don't know. It seems odd to me, but I'm sure that Disney made out just fine from this little venture. Not that they'll notice this $4 million, but still. But yeah, I'll read a little bit more about that. Also, Alan GD player. I'll say Alan, if that's okay. Hey there, nice to be able to catch a stream. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. How have you been doing? Have you been watching anything good? Have you specifically been watching any sort of Halloween tinge stuff that's not terrible recently? I would love to hear about it. Okay, so I'll look at see if there's other news here that's worth getting into. Some ads. Oh. Okay. More shorts, more potential Oscar contenders in shorts animation. So there's that. And then this movie I had not even heard about until I saw this article pop up. Here's a slightly clickbaity headline I saw the other day that I'm not super into, so I'm just gonna scoot right on past that one. And then a lot of this is stuff that we chatted about last week as well, so I won't tread old ground there. But yeah, what is this? Under the Boardwalk. I Has anyone heard of this before right now? Um, okay. We're not going to release an expensive original animated movie and just pray people will come. Do you think that has anything to do with Ruby Gilman? Do you think that was part of the equation there? Okay, so they just backtracked on this. They were like, nah, we're not going to do it. They're doing a limited theatrical release for an original animated children's movie. That would sound a bit crazy 10 or 15 years ago, but the musical comedy, okay, surprises at every turn with this one. Follows the hermit crabs who live under the boardwalk at the Jersey Shore. Wow. When Armin, a land crab townie, is townie a universal slang term, by the way? I was familiar with townie when I was growing up and stuff, but I don't. Is that like a regional thing? Is that a term that people just know in general? Anyway, when Armin falls in love with Ramona, tensions between their friends and families arise. But when a storm casts the duo far from home, their love will lead them on an epic adventure that unites the divided community. What on earth? That is a wild combination of words they managed to string together there. Also, the soul patch is a choice. That's some bold character design. That's really something. Alice is really good. I've been watching so many cartoons on HBO Max. Really recommend you a show that some days ago was premiered on Max called, what is it called here? Frankhelda Book of Spooks. It's about creepy and anthologies for kids. Here, I'll look it up over here. Let me see if I get the spelling is wild. Frankella. Let's see what I can find. Frankhelda's Book of Spooks. Okay. Oh, okay. Premiered in 2021. I hadn't heard of it at all. Let's take a look. Mysterious ghost trader tells tales of terror with the assistance of her grumpy enchanted book, Hernaval. Okay. Cool. Oh, neat. Is it stop motion? I mean, it certainly looks stop motion from where I'm sitting. Cool. Okay. Well, I love anthologies in general, and I just feel like I don't know. I don't know if you would agree, but I feel that horror in particular is better suited sometimes to anthologies, as opposed to just like straight drama or something like that. Or I guess comedy works as anthology stories too. But horror stuff. There was that Del Toro anthology series on Netflix. There's some series from the 80s that did a kind of similar thing. I think it works. I get kind of bored of horror stuff when it really stretches on into a feature or something like that. This looks really neat. I don't think I have HBO Max anymore. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a month or two here and there. Just because, to be honest, I'm not trying to plug them or anything, but they do have a pretty good collection of animated stuff. But yeah, this looks neat. I hadn't heard of it, so thank you very much, Alan, for bringing it up. That's pretty cool. And it's made in stop motion. There we go. And it's a Mexican cartoon also. Yeah, I totally missed this one. Did it get like a lot of discussion or coverage online? Did people talk about this one? Clearly, if they did, I just totally missed it, which is a shame. Yeah, no, it looks neat. Cool. All right. I do like the art direction a little bit more than Under the Boardwalk here. Maybe I'm being too mean. Yeah. Under the Boardwalk. Boardwalk? Yeah, maybe they have an accent like that. Wow, crazy. Nick says, why do you think everything turns into a crab eventually? Like, evolutionarily? There's certainly a lot of crab Pokemon. I was unaware of that until I played the recent mainline games. I was like, wow, they have a lot of crabs. They have a lot of crab Pokemon here. Not a lot of news this week from Cartoon Brew, to be honest, or not a lot that's really catching my eye. But that's okay. I mean, we've got plenty of Halloween stuff to chat about too, and also just whatever people want to talk about is cool, obviously. As for why everything turns into a crab eventually, I think it's because deep down most people love seafood, even if they say they don't like seafood. There's sort of a primordial attraction. You know, we originated in the ocean, and we want to engage with that world in some way. And eating stuff from it, it's, you know, it's a natural manifestation of that desire. I think it makes sense. So we continue to recreate crabs. We continue to. That's just what is occupying our collective subconscious. Is a bunch of crabs. Specifically, crabs that look like this. They somehow captured. I was hoping to highlight it. They somehow captured the primordial id in crab form. Does his shell to you? I guess he's not a crab, is he? Sorry, I'm just catching up on that. He has a shell. Oh, they're hermit crabs. I remember what I read 2 minutes ago. No, I got it. Either way, doesn't his crab shell, his hermit crab shell, kind of look to you like an old sofa from the 70s? Are you getting that vibe as well? That's what I see here. Wow, that was a trip. Alan says, yes, I also watched The House, another horror anthology in stop motion. It's on Netflix. Oh yeah, I like The House a lot. I think I did a video on it kind of shortly after it released. I think hoping, you know, like, oh, a bunch of people will be interested in the video if I release it really quick. I don't think it ended up doing that very well as a video, but as that, I would call it a movie, anthology movie. I guess, since it is just feature length, I think. It's great. No, I love that. Whoever was involved with the writing of that is, I love it. Yeah, I really appreciated those stories, especially the last one. I think they did a good job of keeping it relatively creepy, while also giving it a more hopeful flavor. There's a more positive, uplifting bent to that final story that I really like. I don't know if people thought that was sappy, but I thought it was executed in a way that just felt natural and sincere. You know, I think it worked well. Football Lover says, "Ooh, The House looks interesting." Yeah, it's good. It's a good one. It definitely reminds me specifically of Fantastic Mr. Fox, just because of the character designs and the types of animals they are, as well as proportions, I guess. I don't know if there is any kind of overlap in terms of the creative teams behind those projects. I kind of doubt it. But that's that. Yeah. Pretty cool. Alan says, not so much because it was a Latin American in terms of whether people were talking about Frank Caldas. Because it was a Latin American production, and I think there's a smaller community for cartoons here, so we had it in HBO Max Latin, but just recently premiered on Max. Oh, okay, so it just wasn't even accessible, it sounds like, in my market, in my corner of the world, I guess. Well, that's a shame. That might be something I would like to talk about. If I do manage to make another just like straight review of something, which I haven't done in a while, it feels like. Oh, wow, my gosh. Oof. Is this gonna, okay. That's kind of horrifying, huh? But I'm also not a, you know, I really enjoy not liking spiders personally. It's definitely one of my things. Is this some kind of NSFW stuff? That's cool. Anyway, Nick says, that's an interesting point about return to the ocean. There are more crabs close to water than far away. I see crabs walking side to side and think something's being narrowed down. Why not? There you, I mean, crabs really are fence sitters, right? They don't really want to stay on land. They don't really want to stay in the ocean. They're always in between, right? Very indecisive. This is also horrifying. Is this like spoiling stuff for me to see the giant crazy character models? I just think it's neat. And yeah, we'll see if I'm This is highly relevant though, yeah, because I don't know if I can show this on the stream or not. That's a great freeze frame. But I just have somebody a long time ago posted the behind the scenes featurette for Nightmare Before Christmas, which is great. It's a little bit more in depth than I kind of expected, and in particular, now as not a child, I'm a little bit more interested in hearing about the technical side of something like stop motion animation, which was not how I felt about it when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, it's neat that they have these little tiny puppets, and it's neat the way they shoot the whole thing, but it didn't go much further than that, you know. But yeah, it's a great little featurette. We'll see if we can do that. But one of the things I learned was that you do typically start with the sculpture, right? Someone sculpts it out of some type of clay. I think they said oil-based clay. And from there, you have to make a mold and then actually design the physical prop itself and see if it turns out. But yeah, even this guy too definitely looks like the clay version to me, but I could be wrong. But yeah, maybe I am spoiling myself a little bit. This does very much look like a character from Cats. I don't know if that was the... I mean, it is some kind... Oh, it's an owl guy, bird guy. There you go. And fan art. Don't worry, we got... And then here's Daisy. Why is Daisy here? What is this? Oh, it's from a forum. Okay, fair enough. Okay. Is Mr. Krabs the most famous crab? Nick says, Mr. Krabs, how could I forget? The sea creature lady reminds me of Night Before Christmas too. There you go. See, there's lots of connections. I think we're heading on the right path. Okay, well, so what is this? I'll read this briefly. Trolls is doing fine, but yeah, as we said at the top, Nightmare Before Christmas had a redo, a re-release in select theaters around, and yeah, it didn't do that well. This was the big shocker that I think we found out on a very old stream. It was just that the Nightmare Before Christmas did not perform well, really at all, on initial release. And then in home video and on re-releases, it became a giant cultural icon sort of thing. But yeah, there's not much here. Headline's pretty much all you need, I guess. $4 million from doing a little re-release and sending the MP4 file to different theaters around the country, I guess. You know what? I don't think I would go, though. I don't think I would go to one of those, only because I don't want to see who else goes. Does that make sense? I would love to watch the movie in a nice theater with nice sound, but I can imagine, I can see the crowd and who would show up for this and wait in line outside the theater, and I don't think I would be too into that. I'm not saying it would be a bad crowd. My social skills can only take so much challenge. I also did not know that Trolls was already out. But saying that it's topping the UK box office is very strange. They're slowly releasing it in overseas markets before it comes out in the US. That's pretty weird too. Okay. Yeah, like these numbers. It made basically the same amount of money in the UK as Nightmare Before Christmas re-release made here. Alan says, huh, weird, lol. Yeah, anyway, so there you go. There's a little re-release of that movie, and it did just fine. So we have that now. Anything else worth talking about here? Don't think so. I don't know what this movie is. Something about new Tom and Jerry, I guess. Canterville Ghost. Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, it's ugly. The Canterville Ghost was released on the 20th. I'm sorry, I actually haven't heard of any of these companies before. As the 19th gives way to the 20th century and scientific invention brings forth new ways of traversing and seeing the world, a modern American family moves into their recently purchased country home, Canterville Chase in England, only to find it is haunted by a ghost. Sir Simon de Canterville has been haunting the grounds of Canterville Chase successfully for over 300, but he meets his match when he tries to scare out the new arrivals. Heck, wait. So it is the 19th into the 20th century. So this is by modern family, they mean from the early 1900s. Okay. Okay. Honestly, the initial impression was just that it was going to be modern day. And not 100 years ago. All right. It doesn't look good. Think I can play like 2 seconds worth of the trailer without getting zapped? It doesn't look especially appealing to me. Has anyone heard of this one before? I'm not trying to be mean either. I just don't, I don't quite mesh with the art direction and everything here. Okay, well, it does seem to be early 1900s indeed. Which, just the setting is kind of a neat idea. Plumb the depths of the Victorian era. Do some interesting things with that. That sounds great for an animated movie. But in terms of actual execution here, look at this cast. A bunch of people I've never heard of, and also Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie. I think I know Freddie Highmore, right? But then again, they're like awful 10-cent movies that have some relatively big celebrity voice actors and stuff signed on. So anyway, had not heard of this at all. Not crazy about it. If someone wants to tell me otherwise, feel free. It's cool. Who made that? Never heard of it before. Yeah, I guess I should check the like production names again here just to get an idea. Directed by Kim Burden. Let's see what we get for her stuff. Okay. Possibly? First director role? Oh my. Oh, it is, actually. Okay. Fireman Sam I'm not super familiar with, or The Great Fire of Pontypool. What could that word possibly be? Sorry. We're just browsing now. Pontypandy. Does sound a little bit British. Okay, so there's the director, co-directed by Robert Chandler. Poet, translator. I feel like that's not our guy. The Deep? The Deep. Okay, so he was a producer on The Deep. And I assume director on something. Yeah, he's directed stuff. Okay. Oh. A Depeche Mode. Music video. Okay, so also hasn't done a bunch of directing. Who else do we got? Space Age Films. Is any of this ringing any bells for anyone? Have you folks heard of any of these people? Wow, they're the third result down, guys. Your SEO is not doing it. I kind of like this though. Robert Chandler. Okay, there you go. Yeah, definitely haven't. I don't think I'm familiar with a lot of their stuff, but certainly British. I have seen a little bit of The Deep. I have a friend who's a big fan of The Deep. But there you go. Okay. Doesn't he kind of look like Edgar Wright, or am I just relying too much on hair and facial hair? Okay, let's see what else. This is another one that I had not heard of before. Inspector Sun and the Curse of the Black Widow. Okay. Viva Kids was Spanish animated feature to US theaters. Okay. Inspired by Agatha Christie kind of stuff. Okay, that's also kind of a neat idea for an animated kids movie. This is an interview, so I don't know that we got some character sheets here. These are kind of fun to look at. But another one that I wasn't aware of. The chair's a little awkward. Kind of looks like a high chair, right? I mean, I guess it is. Football Lover says, "Have you watched The Deep? Great show." No, I don't. I don't think I have. I don't think I've seen any of that one. It's such a compelling name, though. You know, as soon as you hear that title, you're like, I gotta see what they're doing with this. This seems like another one that's really pulling a lot. This is, well, the logo too. You think Art Deco, you think, you know, Roaring Twenties and all that sort of stuff, but also like what, a zoot suit here? They're really going for it. So maybe is this a trend all of a sudden just because of these two movies? Or is animated stuff really harkening back to the early 1900s for style influences? I don't know, but that does actually sound like a fun premise. It's a seaplane journey from Shanghai to San Francisco in the 30s, not the 20s. Ruined millionaires, Black Widow spiders, hired killers, and smugglers come together for a noir story in which insects of various species with spiders at the helm have created their own unique universe. That, yeah, just sounds fun. Let's try to watch 3 seconds of this without getting zapped. Think we'll do it? Actually, if you could keep this up while I'm watching, that would be awesome. Okay. Some of the hair rendering stuff was a little dodgy, but actually looks kind of fun. A lovely bounce to a lot of the character animation. And yeah, I don't know. It's being very clear with its stylistic influences in terms of art direction, at least. Otherwise, comes across as very much sort of a typical, you know, modern animated children's movie. I'm cool with that. But there you go, Inspector Sun and the Curse of the Black Widow. Is that offensive in the insect world? Like, can you just say Curse of the Black Widow without getting into trouble? I just feel like the Black Widows might, you know, take issue with that for some reason. Cool. All right. There's that. But yeah, well, I guess I'll just, you know, start talking about our main topic here. But if anybody else has any other recommendations for stuff that I should check out, or some other things that they've been watching recently and really enjoying, or rewatching recently, the only other thing that I can think of that I've been trying to do is a seasonal kind of seasonal watch is, of course, Over the Garden Wall. And I mean, I don't really think there's much left to say about that one, to be honest. At least for me, we've talked about it many times before. I think I had a whole dedicated stream the one time to Over the Garden Wall. So I definitely feel like I've said my piece about that show. And yeah, it continues to be a fantastic rewatch for the season, or even out of season, if we're being honest. And I have skipped ahead a little bit to some of the Christmas and holiday movies, but that's not for any particular reason. I just, you know, I thought, let's get it over with now, and then we can be sick of it by the time the holidays actually roll around. Poop All Over says, wow, what a description of The Deep. Yeah, it was good. I do think it was accurate. We can at least say it was a very accurate description. Sorry for the drinking noises. Okay. All right. So, what do you think? What are the odds that we could watch like significant portions of this video without getting the stream taken down or halted immediately? Is it possible? This person posted it 11 years ago and it hasn't been DMCA'd, right? Thank you, comments. Only Tim Burton can take creepy characters and make them adorable. That's patently false. I dislike that. Oh. I forgot. This is my streaming my streaming browser. Maybe that's for the best. I have a little bit to say about Tim Burton. Get there. Yeah. Anyway, what do we got? Nick says, broke. Nightmare Before Christmas is a good Halloween movie because it contrasts Halloween with Christmas. Woke. Die Hard is a Christmas movie because the plot is during Christmas. And Bespoke, to finish off the trilogy, every story is a Christmas story, and Nightmare Before Christmas is the first Halloween movie because it springboards off Christmas. Alan says, yesterday I started to rewatch season 6 of Summer Camp Island. Did you watch it? I don't think I ever got that far. As soon as it was disrupted, as soon as the show, went through all the drama with Time Warner Discovery saying, "Oh, we're just pulling junk from HBO Max and you just can't watch it anymore." That really slowed me down because I was concerned that I would watch all of the available episodes and then it would just be gone forever. So I don't think I actually have finished season 6 of Summer Camp Island, but I'm assuming you liked it if it was worth a rewatch, right? I'm assuming it was a pretty good one, and I wouldn't be surprised to hear that at all. I mean, what a show! That's another show where I think I've kind of said my piece, Football Lover says, I meant the description of the Spider movie. Seems like a wild ride. Yeah, it could be fun. Won't go to the theater for that one, but I could, I'll be happy to watch that one on streaming. Could be cute. Okay, so yeah, thank you, Nick, for sharing some additional thoughts on Nightmare Before Christmas. And the classification side of things has always been, mildly entertaining. Of just like, okay, is it a Christmas movie? Is it a Halloween movie? Is it just one or the other? And that is part of the enjoyment too. Is just it was a unique combination at the time. It could very well exist without the Christmas angle, I feel. That's not the aspect people really connect with, I don't think. Sorry. It's almost 100% the world and character designs. Like, by far, those are the reasons. Those are the reasons this has become the go-to, certainly the go-to Halloween movie. Getting to the heart of the matter, as mentioned in the title of the stream, it is not the definitive Christmas movie and never will be, but it certainly sets itself apart among the group of anything that could be considered a Christmas movie. It works there for being so different. Is it good? Is Nightmare Before Christmas actually a good movie? And I really want to stick with the point of what people really like about it and why it has become so culturally pervasive and why the merch has been so successful and all that stuff. Like, what is it? Because as far as I can see, it's always been the character designs. It's always been the character designs, and everything else is just kind of a bonus, right? It's a musical, successful Disney musicals take on a life of their own because of the music. I get that. They make mediocre movies much better, and this movie does have great music, great musical numbers. But it's just the character designs, right? It's got to just be the character designs. An overall look. It's got to be the visual component here that really works. Love Summer Camp Island? Yes, I agree. Alan says, yes, I love Summer Camp Island. It actually became my favorite cartoon. I'm currently on my 4th rewatch. Oh my gosh. Slow down, Alan. No, don't. Especially because they're short episodes. It's so fun to just burn through it. The first watch will always be the best with pretty much anything, I think. But with Summer Camp Island, it really does continue to give. It continues to be such a pleasant experience, and what were originally little surprise jokes in the first watch, I'm very happy to revisit those, which is not common with comedic stuff. Usually jokes get really bad after the first couple watches. But no, such a delight. Um, and I really should finish it. It just makes me sad, the idea that it will probably cease to exist, or they'll stop making new stuff at least, and that'll be that. Anyway, that's what we got. Pretty cool to be another Summer Camp Island fan. Yeah, no, we're here. We're here. I do think one of my 2 successful videos was probably one of the first ones to try to talk about the show in more detail or in a pretentious way. I'm definitely one of the first people to hit that, I think, with Summer Camp Island. But yeah, it continues to be great. Would love a DVD release or a Blu-ray release of that show. I would do that. A really nice box set with a beautiful like dust cover. That sounds great. That sounds so nice. Football Lover says Hot Topic. I guess just in reference to all of Nightmare Before Christmas. Is that about right? Alan says, yes, I will forever remember summer camp. Real summer camp. Okay, it connected with me the first day I knew about it. Were you talking about the show specifically there? Oh, I guess both. But for a second, I thought you were just saying like, oh, well, I was into summer camp as a kid, therefore the show connected with me more. I don't know. But I was never a summer camp person, child. I guess you can't really have a summer camp person. If you have summer camp adults going around, that's no good. That's not a situation that we want to support, right? Yeah. But I too remember that, like, the first time I kind of encountered the show, and it was just something somebody recommended to me, and I was like, I have no idea what it is. But it was presented to me as, I think, just like the cutest show. This is the cutest show, period. We're done. Moving on. All right, so let's see. Should we give it a shot? Don't go right to shots of the movie. That's what we cannot swing. The show. I've never been to a real summer camp. Okay, thank you for clarifying. But yeah, it was the same for me. I was not a summer camp person. Still works because Summer Camp Island is, of course, the ultimate. It's the ideal camp. It's exactly what you want, and it's not something that would ever exist, which makes it all the more appealing. Okay, now, in the past, when I first really became aware of the fact that despite, Tim Burton's name being plastered all over Nightmare Before Christmas and promotion of the movie and all that stuff, when I found out that it wasn't directed by him, that actually this other guy called Henry Selick directed the movie, I was still relatively young at the time. Give me a small amount of slack. But I was very indignant, and anytime somebody brought it up, I would be like, well, hey, let's remember Tim Burton, takes a lot of credit for that, but it's not, he didn't direct it. He was kind of involved. He specifically looked for someone else to direct it for him because he just didn't want to do it. But now, especially after this little featurette, I don't know, but they emphasize so much how crucial his little, sketches and doodles of characters and environments were to the overall art direction of the movie and its visual identity. And going back to what I said earlier, if the character designs and the visual identity are by far the biggest factor to the movie's continued success and cultural status, then it really is Tim Burton, I guess. There's just something about that look that people can't help but connect with. I don't know. It's gotta be, right? I don't see a lot of ways around it. And obviously everyone else is, Henry Selick's contributions, everyone else on the team, all of those contributions are hugely important. And we should never give all the credit for a movie to just one person. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it in the words of the team themselves, the look was such a huge part of the whole project. Also, it was fun to see how big some of the sets are. As this guy explains in this portion, this is a quarter scale set. So 4 times the size for the actual sets that they're shooting on, and they're specifically designed to break apart along certain seams, hidden seams, but for practical reasons, they need to be able to move around the different portions of the set for what's needed in the shot, but also just in terms of accessing the puppets and everything. Um, crazy, crazy. And how cool would it be to actually see those sets in person? I think that would be fantastic. Just the scope and the scale. I wonder if they hung on to them. I would kind of assume yes. Right? Nick, Tim Burton's Victorian Gothic style is everywhere. The movie introduces it with a musical animation to show a lot of these past styles aren't completely horrifying to rediscover over time. Yes, I agree. And specifically, maybe I can pull it up in a different tab over here, but we in this little featurette they specifically mention that there was a lot of influence from a couple different illustrators. One of them is Edward Gorey. Maybe you've seen some of his stuff before. Great look, by the way. He had a look. But as you can see, a certain amount of influence, I think, on this particular iteration of Tim Burton style. And I'm sorry that I forget the name of the other illustrator. Maybe we'll come across it in the video here if we do go through with some of the audio. But you can see really heavy shading, really heavy just marks overall, and also a total lack of color in most of Gorey's stuff. And while we don't have straight grayscale in Nightmare Before Christmas, it's absolutely more desaturated. And as one of the team members points out, the biggest distinction there in terms of saturation is between our Halloween Town and Christmas Land. What is it actually called? The Christmas Town place, where it can be very saturated and it's more vibrant, and you get prismatic colors and things like that. But let's see. This is all about making the puppets and such, right? I'm wondering if we can get a good... They have a nice little breakdown of like how long the process is. Yeah, so this is the sculpting, of course. The one of the earliest stages after the sketches. And then they have molds. Okay. So and then, yeah, they mentioned custom machining the metal parts to create the armature for every single character, which is not the impression I had looking at some of the armatures. I was like, oh, it looks like you could get that out of a box or something. Not the middle one, obviously. But no, every little part they had to machine, which is an insane undertaking on its own, I guess. But it's kind of funny, similar to rigging in CG animation, which is, creating essentially a digital armature that determines how the character can move and joints and things like that. Doesn't seem to be as appreciated as other aspects, just like art direction, character design, the more surface level elements of a stop motion movie or a CG animated movie. Kind of funny to me, but yeah, obviously completely crucial, completely crucial to any sort of actual character animation. It's all dependent on what they're shaped to do, unlike sort of standard traditional 2D animation where it's just whatever you want to do, whatever you got, go for it. Oh my gosh, yeah, sculpting, okay, do the molding of the character. Sure. And make sure the armature matches up, I guess. Then foam latex. What a great novelty size syringe they use for that. There you go. There's Boogie. I don't know what they're filling him with there. I don't know what that's all about. And then they also mentioned needing to have duplicates, of course, for either different types of scenes or different versions of the character, or so they can shoot different portions simultaneously in multiple units, right? Anyway, fascinating stuff. And again, things that I wasn't really all that interested in watching this stuff as a child. I mean, if you could force me to watch any kind of behind the scenes video, that was pretty rare on its own. Um, but also, especially with the interviews they do here, it's very funny to see how disconnected Tim Burton seems on a personal level, I guess, from the project. And I feel like he's the absolute definition of an ideas man, where okay, I have these ideas for a thing. Here's a concept for the story, but I'm very hands off. I'll sign off on things. I'll approve things. It almost makes me think of George Lucas with the pre-production and production of the prequel films. You know, the prequel Star Wars films. I don't know. It's up to everyone else to actually execute. And while that's the case with many movies, you so often see, you know, that person with the initial idea staying really involved and staying really passionate about it. And throughout here, he doesn't seem that way. Let's get a brief bit of audio, I guess. Thanks, Tim. It had to be animation. Also, his fashion choices don't hold up. I'm just going to say that. I know he has his look, but just contrasting with like Henry Selick, for example. Oh, come on. Come on. This is timeless, hip fashion, great frames. And then Tim Burton's just like, I have a print shirt that's really ugly and a bad color combination. It just doesn't hold up. Doesn't hold up for me. Oh my gosh. This too, it's just a given for any discussion of any stop motion project. They always have to get somebody to explain in the most basic form, okay, we take a picture, we move the character a little bit, we take another picture. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense to do that. There are always going to be people who don't understand how stop motion animation works, or kids, for example. But it's still funny to me that every single stop motion animated project has to have that segment, and they have to get somebody on the team to walk us through the same basic process just to make it very, very clear. I find it funny. What else we got? Anything interesting? Any other interesting stuff to pull out of this one? Oh. I would love to see the storyboards. Let me see if I can pull up some of those just to get a glimpse of them. Storyboards. Will there be anything? Some. Got some here. I'm starting to like storyboards more and more. That's another thing I didn't care about as a kid. It was like concept art or storyboards. In fact, this looks like Patrick Star here. This is something I remember specifically from the Lord of the Rings Return of the King GameCube game, which we played quite a bit as kids. And one of the special rewards you would get in that game, I think, just as progressing through the levels. I don't think you had to do any special challenges or stuff like that. But one of the things you would get is concept art. You would get concept art, not even for the Lord of the Rings movies, but just for the game based on the movies. And as you would expect, it looks very similar to the overall look of the movies. I just thought it was the most boring thing. I was like, why is this a reward? What is the value here? But now I'm into it. I like seeing storyboards now. I find it very interesting. But there's some great frames here. You do get the tone. The tone carries straight through. You know, it feels fully formed already, at least to me. Yeah, still looks great. I don't know. This works for me. Nick says, Hot Topic customers and Tim Burton think they're being rebellious with their design choices. Okay, well, this is the other thing. Is that cultural prominence and what it has become. So I don't know, just out of curiosity, should we see what we get? Great, first of all. What a great first impression of the merch here. I appreciate that. But my word, uh, and the other thing is, the vast majority of this stuff is officially licensed. I'm sure we will see some cheap knockoff stuff, which could be fun too. But it's Disney we're talking about here. They're not just letting people get away, especially major retailers. They're not letting major retailers get away. I do want to see why this has bad reviews. They're not letting randos just submit stuff to major retailers and say, "Oh, it's fine. We don't care that they didn't license it from us." No, they have an iron grip on this stuff, and especially for a property like this where the merchandising is so valuable. I wish I could find out how much money they've made just from the merchandising alone, but I don't think we have any hope of that. And yeah, in particular, you have the icons. Let's see. Jack Skellington is icon number 1. And what? Oogie Boogie? I don't think we could say that Sally... Well, maybe Sally is an icon from Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm not quite sure. But my gosh. Literally for decades, this has been going on. And yes, as Nick mentioned, like there is... Well, and a Hot Topic in general, there is that perception of like, this is off the beaten path. And that is another huge advantage, I think, of the style that Tim Burton would become known for, certainly over the course of the early part of his career. It gives the impression of being counterculture without actually being countercultural. Like it doesn't line up. Certainly not now. Maybe it was for a very brief moment in time, but then it just got absorbed and consumed and duplicated until it's this now. Like this is what that supposedly countercultural look has become. And I don't want to rant about that too much. Like whatever, this is what happens with everything. But I don't know. It is a little staggering. Just the sheer amount. Also, why did... Mind, I'll drop it there. I was gonna ask why so many of the models are blonde. Was that just... Well, no, they're not all. One of them kind of looked like Taylor Swift to me, so I was very confused if she just like briefly got a modeling gig for Nightmare Before Christmas merch after getting famous. But it just doesn't stop, does it? It won't stop. Especially when I say don't stop. Football Lover says Sally and Jack are a good couple. Halloween costumes, sure. Gothic for Christmas is cool vibe. I mean, Sally and Jack, that only works as a couple costume if the person being Jack is much taller, right? Or just tall in general. Like, I don't think the costume... Even here, like, look at how horrible these proportions are all of a sudden. Like, this is nothing. This is a character who shows up on a VHS tape that just lived its entire life in the bargain bin. You know? This is Frank. Frank Halloween. And this is all he will ever be. You don't... It doesn't work, you know? Even this, again, it's just a person in a stripy suit. That's all we've got. What is this? Oh yeah, by the way, if you want to buy this particular storyboard, you can for about $1,000. Who is even... Choice Fine Art? Yeah, okay. Sale. Sorry, I shouldn't be diving into this site. Okay, I do want to see why this has bad reviews. It's a little pricey, for one thing. Nick says, Sally is every leftover Victorian texture hodgepodge. She's great chemistry with the guy stuck on the fence between traditional Christmas and traditional Halloween. Fair enough. That's probably the best write-up we've had on all these potential relationships and social chemistry. Um, yeah, no, I mean, I'm never gonna argue that it's bad character design for any of these guys. It's all incredibly effective. And I loved them too, especially as a kid. Even just, I think that was my first encounter with Nightmare Before Christmas as a whole. Was seeing the well, trailer at the time. I would have called it a preview on a VHS tape for some other Disney movie. I don't remember. Was it on Lion King? Probably not, but on one of them. And of course, it's the famous shot silhouetted against the moon on the curly hill. That was enough. I was like, wow, that's so cool. It's so different. This is not the same rating that you said. But I'll look anyway. Oh my god. Ew. Maybe not. Maybe this is a bad idea. Is this a separate... It must be a separate product, right? Okay, I think that's pretty... What do we got? Great, but not wind-friendly. For the price of him, B should be way more stable. Well, something went wrong there. Pipes broke at the base and ankle by the control. It's recycled scrap metal. Very rusty when assembling. Thank you, Heather. Oh, no. Recycled scrap metal. That does look... Yeah, it doesn't look great. Windy. It will break. Need stronger supports. Okay, we're seeing some trends here. Ooh. A truly horrifying image. It's broken twice now. Within 2 weeks, both of the welded connections at the ankles to the base completely snapped. No wind. Nothing that would cause it. I mean, I guess gravity. We repaired with some rebar and added guide wires to stabilize. It's a week later and he broke again. Well, that one's kind of on you, I guess, right? The knee and hip joints bent beyond repair where the connectors are. We'll try to fix again, but it's just not quality made. Well, you know why the price is the price. It's officially licensed, right? They're passing the Disney tax along to you. Oh, my goodness. Well, now we know. In case anyone was considering that purchase, I hope we've informed you a little bit. I like it with the pumpkins. That one looks like a crime scene. The pumpkins was a really nice touch. I don't know where that person got those particular pumpkins. Also, you could buy a warranty for $60. Do you think they added this after the fact? Oh, my goodness. Okay. What else can we get out? What other mileage can we get out of this discussion? Should I try to say something kind of insightful? I certainly have no issues with this continuing to be, for all intents and purposes, the definitive animated Halloween movie in particular. I could see someone trying to come here with an argument for like another live action movie that's more closely associated with Halloween, just any number of horror movies. But this is it for animation. There's just really no, you know, I love the Peanuts Halloween special too, but it's not a feature. So it's harder to call it a movie. And it still doesn't measure up. It's just not quite there. And it continues to be one of the most fascinating stories in terms of how it was basically a flop on its initial release, and it doesn't seem like Disney knew quite what to do with it when it was coming out the chute. But since then has of course become the one. It has since become the go-to, and I don't see it. I don't see that stopping. I don't see that going away. And I don't see a lot of competition in the space, to be honest. I haven't come across a ton of other movies that even seem to be trying to go after the animated Halloween market in a big way. I don't know. Maybe everyone knows well enough just to step off. They're like, we're not going to do better than Jack Skellington, and therefore, even if the movie's better, you know, even if we make a Frankenweenie or a Paranorman, it's just not gonna it's not gonna match. It's not going to exceed those heights. So I'm not sad about that. I'm not trying to bemoan the status that Nightmare Before Christmas currently holds and will continue to hold, but it is a little funny to me, just as someone who kind of grew up with it and kind of forgot about it, and then was just what is the word? Completely saturated with people's love of the movie, or more specifically, maybe, or more accurately, a love of the look of this movie. And that's an affection that is totally justified. Whoops, something went wrong with this one, huh? But this is like a professional photograph, so why this? What was the choice there? Yeah, what is this look? Why the tapered skull? So that you don't have to, I guess you don't have to wear the whole soccer ball, but still. This is official? These are Disney people? Ew, ooh, ew. Disney. Cool. All right. What else? I do want to briefly take a look at, maybe this is a terrible idea. What do we got? That's kind of funny. That's kind of lame, but there you go. Or this. If somebody went for this as their costume, I would kind of respect it. Makes me think of Beastly, doesn't it? And further, you know, beyond everything else we've been talking about, is this the movie that earned Tim Burton a career of essentially coasting, or at least that's how it looks from my perspective. On the back of this movie's success, especially in the long term, is this the one? More so than Edward Scissorhands, more so than Beetlejuice. No, Beetlejuice was huge, of course. This might have been it still. I still might make an argument for this being the one that allowed him to have the life that he's had. Kind of it. And he hasn't exactly paid off since then, at least in my opinion. Football Lover says, lots of Monster House is, yeah, okay, sure. Monster House is better than Nightmare Before Christmas in just about every metric, but, you know. I didn't think I should bring that up. I just figured I'd let someone else make that hot take. Beastly and Powder, yeah, that's certainly what it looks like. It's just someone's head. Somebody's painted head. Look how edgy this guy is, too. He's so cool. He's really going for it in that one. How did Jack Skellington meet Sally? Oh, it's a fan fiction. That actually sounds great. This sounds great. I'm sorry, I just need a taste. I just need a quick dip in this one.
Today we are focusing on the question, how exactly did Jack meet Sally? What's interesting is the backstory of their relationship
Oh, I
isn't
love
really
this.
fleshed out in the movie. All we know is that they are
I
dear
don't know if I
friends,
can show these
a
clips, but
direct quote from Jack. However, there is a video game called The Pumpkin King,
oh
which
my
does
god.
go into some history between the two. And essentially, Sally is saved from Oogie Boogie by Jack, and that is how they first met. While the game does give us a story about the two's first meeting, I don't find it very engaging or poetic. So I wanted to write my own story, and thus my fan fiction was born. Now, to give you some context, my story takes place a couple of years before the events in the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas. All right, now without further ado, here is part 1 of how Jack met Sally. It was a couple of days before Halloween, and the residents of good old Halloween Town were full of cheer. After all, this was their favorite time of the year. The air was icy cold with a slight breeze, and the moon was full with a bright yellow glow. The air smelled like fresh pumpkins, which had been newly carved by the town's vampires, who were relieved to be cutting into any food other than garlic. The witches could be heard giggling nearby as they each attempted to cast a new spell on a wild toad by a nearby pond. The rest of the residents were going around setting up various decorations such as flying bats or skulls. Jack was helping the mayor hang posters throughout the town. The posters were rather large and could be seen from miles away. They were bright orange and said, "Come one, come all to the Hallows Eve ball. There will be food, drinks, and dancing. Where? The town hall banquet room. When? 6 p.m. sharp. Don't miss out on a frightening good time." This was something out of the ordinary for the town. You see, in years past, the town didn't really do anything.
Okay. 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 I don't think I don't know if it would qualify as me being mean if this person is literally 9 times more successful than I am on YouTube. Like, I don't know if that would be seen as like punching down. It's not that long, actually, is it? You know what? We are gonna watch. I mean, we're supporting, right? Like, look, we're. Oh, don't worry, I will. I'll do that. But we are gonna listen to the rest of the story. Okay. I think so. Dang, she really said there wasn't enough depth to their story, so I did it for them. There wasn't enough depth in one of the spin-off video games. And, you know, they don't address the backstory at all in the original movie. Well, but I mean, this is part of the this is part of the culture, right? The fanfic culture, like sorry, throat's really bad right now. It's part of the culture, I guess, just this, at least this is my impression, to fill in the gaps. Like, there cannot be a gap, you know? Oh, we don't know enough about Harry Potter's parents and what they were like when they were kids. We need to know. We need to fill that in. We need to have our answer to that question. It cannot be left blank. So while it's not something that I necessarily relate to in the storytelling that I interact with, I can't, you know, I'm not going to say it's like a bad thing or a bad impulse or anything like that. And she made something. How many views we got? 5.2K. That's not bad at all. Again, many times more successful than, you know, most of my stuff. But yeah, I do think we're going to do this. Nick says, exactly, Burton. Burton, Alice in Wonderland was the goth last gasp. That's as kooky as it can get, and it was just making Helena Bonham Carter's head real big. Show a screenshot showing the like on the video later for proof. Yeah, sure. Yeah, but we are going to watch this, or listen to this now.
Halloween took place in the human world.
Okay.
This year was different. A week prior to this day at the town's weekly meeting, Jack had suggested that they throw a Halloween ball for all of the residents.
Just like a bedtime story.
He thought it would be a fun way to kickstart the holiday and get everyone excited, as well as a way for everyone to get to know each other better since some of the residents were new. After hanging the last poster, the mayor turned to Jack and said, "I have to say, Jack, this ball just might be one of your best ideas yet." And that is saying a lot because you are full of them. Jack chuckled. Thank you, Mayor. Zero started to bark hysterically and began to circle Jack's legs. All right, Zero, time to eat. I know. Well, Mayor, I shall see you tomorrow night at the Halloween ball. But now I must get home to feed Zero and decide on a nice, sophisticated outfit for the ball. The mayor waved goodbye, and Jack and Zero began their nightly stroll back home. They first passed by the town.
I also understand that outfits are very important to fanfic. I don't know if that's accurate.
The band was playing a soft classical song that reminded Jack of his youth. Jack tossed a couple of coins to the band as he always did to show his respect, and the two continued on. After passing the band,
They have
Jack and
money?
Zero decided to take a shortcut through a cemetery. Halloween Town was full of them, but this particular one was their favorite. It was barren with only a few tombstones, the usual herbs such as deadly nightshade, and an
Herbs?
occasional black cat perched on a tree. As part of their routine, Jack would yell, "Go, Zero, go!" And Zero would zip through the cemetery and try to find the bone that Jack had hid the day before. Zero would proceed to fetch the bone, bring it back, and
It's
Jack
recent?
would toss it for him
Year ago.
continuously until they made it all the way to the other side of the cemetery. As the two finally made it to Jack's house, Zero raced up the stairs. Unlike Zero, Jack was slow, for it had been a hard day's work, and he was finally starting to feel fatigued. As the pumpkin
What
king
did he do?
finally made
Plan
his
the
way to
ball?
doorway, he went over into the kitchen to whip up some dinner
Or
for
make the
Zero,
posters,
which
maybe?
consisted of a few bone-shaped dog treats and a big plate of spider and snake casserole. Jack served himself a piping hot bowl of pumpkin soup, which was a recipe passed down in his family from generation to generation. The two ate next to the fireplace as they did every night. The home smelled like fresh, crisp apples just picked from the orchard, and the sound of Halloween music played in the background. For Jack liked to have some sort of noise playing in his home at all times. He found it very soothing. As Jack took his first bite of soup, he reached over to his coffee table to grab a book. But this wasn't just any kind of book. It was one all about fashion in the human world. It featured various designers and their creations. Some outfits were very simple, while others were very elaborate. He began browsing the pages, searching for inspiration for his Halloween ball attire. He wanted to look sophisticated, yet approachable. After all, this would be the first time some of the
That's my
residents
goal,
would be
too.
meeting him, and he wanted to make a good first impression. After an hour of searching, nothing caught Jack's eye. He put the book down and let out a sigh. Thought I would find something I liked. Oh well, looks like I'm wearing the same thing I wear every single day, he said. Jack stood up from his red suede chair and turned off the lights. Come on, Zero, time
No. Predictions. Predictions. That was a lot of emphasis on the outfit. I was thinking, we'll get an outfit, right? Do you think there's any payoff for the outfit? Like, well, maybe Sally will make him an out. Oh, that's pretty good. I don't know how that would happen right when they're meeting, but she gets conscripted. She gets hired to make him an outfit just for the ball. He's like, hey, Mayor, I need some help with this. Is there anyone who's good at sewing and things like that? That's pretty good. You think that's going to be it? Nick says, never understood what the ground was supposed to look like. Some roots looks like cell ribosomes. Again, I think a lot of the ground stuff, they wanted that texture. They wanted that ink drawing kind of texture, like the Edward Gorey stuff we were looking at earlier. I think that was one of the big priorities. But as for what it's, in a literal sense is all supposed to be, I don't think they were too concerned about that. So let's see if my very good idea for how they actually meet comes to pass.
Zero looks up from his water bowl and follows Jack to the bedroom, and the two settled in for the night. The next morning, Jack and Zero were awakened by the sound of the mayor's voice, who was reminding all of the residents about the
Awakened
Halloween ball that would be
by
taking
the mayor's
place
voice. I
that
like,
night. This was the mayor's normal routine.
cut it down a
He
little
was
bit.
basically the town's newscaster. He would ride through the town in his compact black-colored car with the large
Compact?
horn attached to it and report to the town. He would give them the weather forecast sometimes or the latest Halloween project that needed to be completed. It was one of the only things the mayor could do right and didn't need Jack's approval or help. As he
Whoa.
cycled through the town, he eventually arrived at the front of Dr. Finkelstein's residence and made his announcements about the ball. Dr. Finkelstein was still in bed, sound asleep. He usually slept until noon most days because he spent most of the night experimenting in his laboratory.
Okay.
Sally, on the other hand, was wide awake. She was an early bird
Oh.
and always beat the sun before it rose. She was standing in the kitchen making herself a cup of witch's.
Sally has entered the story. This is the end, by the way. Sally is now here. Okay, sorry. Sorry.
Which was was her favorite flavor of tea. She was extra cheery today, and with good reason. Today is the day of the Halloween ball. I hope it's a night to remember, she thought to herself. Sally was a hopeless romantic, and she had hoped to perhaps meet someone special. The young ragdoll spent a lot of her pastime sewing, but also reading stories. Her favorite book was about a young girl who had met her prince at a ball. So that was why Sally
This
had
is a
high
countdown.
expectations for the night. Well, that concludes part 1 of how Jack...
Oh, it's part 1. I feel this is almost our thumbnail, huh? Very close. Look at this. This is a very popular pick. I feel hoodwinked. You know why? This doesn't say part 1. It's like when you went into Dune. You went into the theater, you sat down, you didn't get any popcorn because you're not crazy. And it starts up. This part 1. At least then you got the surprise. I guess I should have been listening more at the beginning. I can't. I'm sorry. I don't think I can watch the whole series on the stream right now. I think I'll probably get going soon. But I will be listening to the rest of the story just to see if my good idea shows up. I'm really hoping they don't just meet at the ball, and that the point of it is just that, you know, they met at a fancy ball. As a fan, I don't want that to be the direction this takes. But I thought it was just gonna happen. You know, I thought they were just gonna meet, and that was that, and that's not how it went down. Hang on. Let me see. Well, if I do end up going, let me know. Let me know if... Oh. I need the rest of that story. I just want to see how long it is. I just want to see... Yeah, she's getting much better numbers than I am, so I really don't feel too bad about this. How it would be cool if there was a playlist of just those stories, but hang on. Where's the rest? Where is it? Look, part 1. Where is it? No, you didn't know. No. Okay, all right. Okay, we're done with that. Wow. If there's no conclusion? Okay. All right. Good enough. Good enough. I'll process that off camera. Anyway, yeah, here we are towards the end of the stream. If there's anything else you would like to chat about real quick, or something else you would like to recommend that you've been watching recently, go for it. Now is the time. Let me get the music back on because the silence is awkward. But yeah, and then I'll just try to think of other things I forgot to mention so far. But I don't think there's too much. Yeah, I am interested now in potentially doing just a quick video about that Frankelda, is that how it's pronounced? Show. That looks pretty neat, and I have a feeling I'll enjoy it. But beyond that, yeah, a couple other videos planned. They're very slow going, just, you know, about when I have free time more than anything else. But the ponies, that's kind of fun. But otherwise, yeah, as always, I really appreciate folks coming out live for the streams. Literally the only reason I'm still doing it here. And beyond that, of course, I also really appreciate folks watching the archive version of the streams later on the channel. which is still a decent amount of people. I'm always a little bit surprised when we get a fair number of views, not a ton of views, but a fair number of views on the archives. It's kind of fun. Cool. And Alan says, yeah, recommend the Frank Kelda's show. Very cool stuff. Yeah, sounds great. I'll probably look into it soon. If I can manage, if I can swing an HBO Max sign-in, you know? But otherwise, yeah, well, I guess, yeah, the actual day is before our next stream. So I'll go ahead and say happy Halloween to anybody who does celebrate. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Caught up on the channel. Good to go there. Don't know what the theme of the next stream will be, but we'll figure it out. We always come up with something. And yeah, Nick says the Amazing Digital Circus show on YouTube tries to get a lot of mileage from the word insane. Well, just that description has my attention. They just really like using the word insane, or they're trying to embody like the concept of insane. Either way, I mean, I guess my ears perked up, you know, not visually. Thanks for the show. Thank you, football lover. Yeah, happy to do it. Okay, well, that's another one I'll mark down then in my special high-tech notepad. Let's see. Let's Frank Kelda's one, and then what's the second one? This is called Amazing Digital Circus. Okay, cool. And is that like an independent one? I'm kind of assuming it's like an independently produced thing, but just a guess. Cool. All right. That's some good stuff to go on. Love checking out more stuff. Alan says, thanks for the stream. I enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Alan. I really appreciate it. Cool. All right. Well, I think we're good to go. Again, one last thank you to everybody watching live and everybody watching after the fact. I'll have another video as soon as I can. But yeah, have a nice holiday. Be safe. Should I even say that? I guess I'm just an adult now. I have to say that. But otherwise, yeah, that's all for now. Thanks for stopping by.